no. Sorry, tape residual. Okay. I have to do it to this because apparently, again, my computer mic is not working. I already did this yesterday, about 4 minutes, maybe a little longer. However, since then, developments have happened. Uh, on Monday, I went back to city council chambers talking about I'm basically using MCAT and the public forum to make a timeline of events of things that happened after I was arrested and trying to get these things solved because I was denied justice. And because I was denied justice and I wasn't given restitution, I can no longer leave my hometown or basically the United States, but they took my driver's license away and they're taking my passport away because of all this. And yeah, so I'm trying to force the city to fix this. That was actually my only intent. I really didn't give a shit about anything else. In December of 2022, the guy that I had been working for 2 years on my case told me that due to extraneous circumstances, he could no longer support me, which means that someone either gave him money or he was compromised. And then I called every other legal representation in town, and they told me no. I called several others outside of town that said no. And then I couldn't find anyone else that would take it up. And so it ran past the statute of limitations. Because it ran past the statute of limitations, I'm now using this and my First Amendment right to exercise the demons in my community. So I started going back on Monday after Memorial Day weekend, the not the immediate Monday, but the following Monday, and started going back because on Memorial Day weekend I was attacked by gang members related to the Missoula Crips, which I didn't know until I was attacked by their leader, Mika Gergen, in Ravalli County. There is an article about it. I do have it saved. I do have it shared on several places, and I can share it. The article is Florence man charged in alleged road rage incident, and so I'll just read this article to you. Florence man was arrested Sunday following an alleged road rage incident that included a thrown bottle and a knife. Mika Mark Gergen, 43, appeared Monday before Ravalli County Justice of the Peace Jennifer Ray on felony charges of assault with a weapon on 2 counts of criminal endangerment. According to the charging affidavit, Ravalli County Dispatch received a report of apparent road rage accident incident about 2 p.m. Sunday on U.S. Highway 93 northbound from Stevensville. The person making the report said he saw the pickup truck nearly sideswipe another vehicle, which had to drive over the fog line and into the rumble strip to avoid being struck. The pickup's driver, later identified as Gergen, allegedly threw a bottle at the other vehicle. At the stoplight in Florence, the witness said he saw the driver leave his pickup, approach the other vehicle. The witness said the man appeared to be threatening and intimidating. The other driver avoided the confrontation by driving around the pickup when the light turned green. The responding Montana Highway Patrol trooper spoke with the man driving the other car. The man said that he first noticed Gergen's pickup driving behind him on Highway 93 as if he were in a video game weaving in and out of traffic. The two exchanged the middle finger gestures and words. It wasn't initially a middle finger for me. It was, he tried to swipe me, and I went, and he just started going like this, and I was just like, fuck you, dude. And then he flipped me off, and that's when I tried to roll down the window and ask him what he was fucking doing. He was being crazy, and he threw the knife at me. The two engaged the middle finger in words. Gergen allegedly steered his truck to force the other man's car off the road. The affidavit said the man said at one point Gergen threw an open folding knife into his car. The knife allegedly hit the man in the head. It did. The trooper saw the knife and documented a knot and laceration on the left side of the man's head above the ear. Yeah, the laceration was about a thumb's length. And the man told the trooper his girlfriend was in the car at the time and was upset and scared. Yes, Gergen was charged with misdemeanor counts of reckless driving, disorderly conduct, and littering. Bail set at 10,000. This guy was a third-time felony offender, led with a 10,000 bail. My bail was set at $100,000, and $50,000 is the legal limit of the Montana State Constitution under the certain Montana Annotated Code 46-9301. Uh, yeah, it's been a fucking mess. But that's the cool thing about evil is that they're lazy, stupid, and the only thing that they care about is fulfilling their own desires. And it usually comes with very weak characters, very cowardly. One of my buddies from Cannon Air Force Base actually asked me what was going on, and so I told him about it. And then he asked me, then I was like, "Well, go read this guy's blog page." And then he goes to it and says that Reinierson had cleared out his blog except for a thing where he gets contacted by someone doing a write up and asks if they knew me, and Reinierson goes through this whole thing. I have his response messages saved in my inbox in case he deletes it. But he basically says that I was threatening the life of the people of the Missoula Council, and I deserve to be thrown in jail. Blah blah blah. And he's surprised that the state determined blah blah. You know, Rhino, you're a fucking coward. You're a shit stain of a coward. And I actually tried to be nice to you because my idiot fucking friend copy and pasted everything that I told him and put it on your page and made fun of you for it. Luckily that he knew who Malcolm X was because I had forgotten for a while that whole incident. But I think that's funny. Reinierson, for many times during his engagement with me, can claim to be just like Martin Luther King or Django Unchained or Malcolm X, and he was the one in 10,000 and all sorts of shit, and he's just a fucking fool. He caused a lot of problems for me. So I'm exercising my freedom of speech to embarrass the piece of shit. And I'm going to embarrass a lot of people. I'm done. Someone was like, so I posted this on the Missoula forums, really just to get engagement of the type of people. And what I was told was true is that the Missoula City Council is going to try to use my mental health to discredit me. And they did that in the Reddit forums. And then people started sticking up for me because I am legit, dude. I've proven myself. And I'm trying to help other people prove themselves and stand up against this shit too. It's not just me. I'm not some savior for people. I'm just sick of being picked on and bullied, and the bullies are everywhere. But they're obvious and they're stupid, lazy. They don't have discipline. They don't know the principles of right conduct. They don't know how to renounce. They're stupid. Um, so during the city council meeting, I explained the Gergen situation. I explained the fact that on Memorial Day weekend, these same dudes, this is their leader who threw the knife at me, chased me on my bike, and the only reason I avoided it was because I saw their scout. I don't know what they call it in the gang, but he was standing there watching me, and I said something, and he recognized my face, and I was about to say hey to him, but I looked at him, and he was like this. He was like don't say anything to me, don't say anything to me. And he looked over, and then I saw these guys just come around the corner, and I sped up on my bike. The next day on Sunday, uh these guys attacked two gentlemen in Karis Park. And then on Friday, this last Friday, I was at First Friday walking around, and there's a couple incidences happened. The Badlanders stole my $45 water bottle after I left it there. They refused to give it back to me and told me to come back later. And when I came back, it was gone. So someone fucking stole it. So I would recommend staying away from the Golden Rose and the Badlander because they are lack fucking integrity. Um, and they blamed me for it. Oh, you should have left it in your car. It's my water bottle. Like, come on. Oh, you could have had drugs in it. I could have dumped it out and then refilled it. You know, whatever. Stop making fucking excuses. You stole my fucking water bottle, you pieces of fucking shit. But then afterwards, I'm leaving. I left the Badlander. My buddy was DJ Plant Daddy was playing, and we left. I did like 3 hours of staff spinning at the triple quad X's every Friday. If you want to join, and so I left. I went and I talked to some people, and then I was just gonna go down to Karis Park and smoke a J and then leave. Well, somebody followed me. A couple of these guys that were following me. One dude was definitely LA gear. He had a number 6 jersey with no LeBron James on the back, apparently. Uh, People sporting LA gear followed me to the VFW and watched me as I waited for my Uber. Well, in my own excitement, the next day, I we'll get that after that, after the meeting. So I tell this in the meeting, and I turn around and I go to sit down, and the rent-a-cop is standing right next to my seat, and there's a stranger sitting behind it, where before there was Travis Mateer, aka William Skink, who is one of my associates and friends. And he, before the meeting started, he was telling me about an investigation into a murder that happened at the Pavarello Center here in Missoula that the city decided to cover up. The young man's father was a very influential Vietnam veteran, and he knew the Denver Broncos and all sorts of people. And when he was murdered in Missoula, they basically, the sheriff's department took him off life support and killed him. So he's doing an investigation. So before the meeting started, he gets removed. And when I was coming back to my seat, I thought he was back there, and I see that it wasn't him. So I just grabbed my stuff. Rent-a-cop's being, he's trying to be intimidating. I mean, I don't think anyone can threaten me anymore. So he's trying to be intimidating, and I'm just grabbing my stuff. I'm trying to listen to what the excuse me city council is saying about decorum or whatever. Yeah, they need to learn how to not be so evil, and then we can talk about decorum. But so this, I grab my things, and this guy says something to me that triggers my fight response, and I look at him and like, excuse me, who are you? In my own heart, it was a death threat. Like I felt death threat from him. And then I looked at him and he's like, just fucking get a life. Just fucking drop it. And I was like, who are you? And it looked like it hurt his feelings, like a lot. And then he's like, just fucking drop it. Just fucking drop it. Just fucking drop it. So I left. I go and I get a drink from the water fountain, and I turn around and I see one of the civilians is coming to talk to me, and John Conto, city council person, coming to talk to me. So I'm talking to them, or they're on their way, and I look at the cop that's standing there, and they're looking at me like they're going to block my way, like I'm not going to go back in. But I look at her and I was like, I respected you before you started defending people like that. And she steps up to me and grabs her fucking gun, and she's like, excuse me. No, lady, you have to understand you deserve criticism. You're protecting evil. You're protecting evil from justice, something that you're supposed to represent, protect, and serve. And what you're supposed to protect and serve is the weakest of us all, because it's taken for granted that the strong tread on the weak. The weak don't tread on the strong. Okay? That's an exceptional situation. And when it happens, it should be noted. Okay? I mean, so I left. John was saying, "Oh, he's like, I don't want you to get arrested." I was like, "I'm not going to get arrested." So I just left. I go to the city court front yard, and I made a TikTok. I was like, "Some dude just threatened me. Some white bread dude just fucking threatened me to my face in city council, and the cops protected him." In fact, if you go and look at the MCAT video, they're zoomed in on the next person to speak, and then they zoom out right when this guy starts verbally assaulting me. It's like they expected me to have a confrontation. And you can see where the guy is like saying something to me, and I'm having trouble clipping my belt because it's like, what? What are you saying? I'm trying to focus on this guy, and I was like, this guy, who the fuck is this guy? So I go and I hang out with some of my buddies at the park, and we do some longboarding. I did longboarding for the first time. It was fun. But I mean, I kept thinking, like, who would do something like that? Like, who the fuck would do something like that? So I get home and I talk to my mother about it, and I'm like, we go through a list of people. We even look them up online, and we're like, none of these people are it. And I'm like, well, could it be Nick? Because he's got that same haircut and beard, the greasy shoulder length hair that every pseudo hippie wannabe hipster wannabe grows down in Colorado and Texas, Austin. I mean, how am I supposed to recognize him? I don't give a shit about him. Um, so we look it up and it's him. I spent many hours reviewing video feed just like I would in the military to determine whether this guy was it. And Nick Checota was a little fatter in the face prior, but I haven't seen him in a year almost. And even before then, it was from a distance when he sat there in his restaurant and fucked with my girlfriend and mine's dinner. And then I proceeded to go to STP and Hailstorm concert, and they proceeded to fuck with us there. So I'm also going to tell people don't do anything through Logjam or the Top Hat or anything. Don't give any money to this motherfucker's business because he is scum. Like, I didn't do anything to him. I respected his business establishment and gave him money. I even tipped the waitress 50 fucking dollars. She didn't give us any drinks. They gave us cold food. They burnt my food, so I had to eat half of my girlfriend's burger. Um, yeah, it's a mess. And then when we get to the ASTP Hailstorm concert, when she goes to the bathroom, when she's coming out, one of his fucking thugs says something to her and makes her cry and makes her want to leave. So we leave. Um, Not a fun situation. And it's definitely not a fun situation knowing that the Missoula Crips have attacked me. My girlfriend's scared. She doesn't even want to come back to live in Missoula because of this anymore. And I can't even leave to go see her in Alaska until all this shit is done. She doesn't even want to be around me right now because of this. So I have nothing else in my life. My dog's dead. My girlfriend no longer is with me because of all this political bullshit. So I'm going to put all my effort into crushing the opposition. And it's really funny that when people say that I'm going to eliminate you from places of power and I'm going to crush the opposition, they take that as a threat. Well, maybe it should be. It's not a threat on your life. I don't I don't care. I don't want to kill anymore. You've already done it. You're doing it. The Missoula Police Department gets 53% of the Missoula city budget. They get $300,000 a year from the feds to monitor fentanyl and in lieu of other scheduled drugs. And yet there is a man who lives under the Russell Street Bridge who is killing homeless people with fentanyl laced weed. And the police aren't doing fucking nothing about it. They don't care. They're getting 53% of our budget and they don't even do their job. They've stalked me. How much money does it cost them to stalk me ever since I'd had my court case with the city? Because they still do. They stalk and harass me. I was harassed by animal control when my dog was still alive. Like, how much of their taxpayer money did that fucking waste? How much of your taxpayer money did they waste on a desperate attempt to use Reinerson's blog against me, upon which, after the man loses, he erases and can't be held accountable for his actions? And when I try to make right with him over something my idiot friend did, he attacks me and claims that I'm a threatening people's lives and that I killed an American citizen, which I didn't kill an American citizen. Anwar al-Awlaki was my target, yes, but I did not kill him. I got out when they decided to kill him. I was all in for the capture mode because even a traitor to the country deserves a fair and free trial in front of a jury of his peers according to the United States Constitution, upon which I swore an oath to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I don't really give a fuck about guns or gun rights because that's not really what the Second Amendment's about. The Second Amendment's all about the ability to stand up against bullying and tyranny, any means necessary. Your words should be your first weapon. And then when it comes down to it, after all the words have been spoken, then you can stand your ground. And the first person to do violence loses. You've already done violence to me, so you lost. I don't need to do anything. I'm going to get my life back. And everyone that's in my way, everyone that makes some little stupid, pitiful ac- accusation, you're just dismissed. What did I ever do to you? Nothing. You took my pure, innocent soul and sent me to war to murder people. And then I come back and I struggle, and you degrade me, you deny me medical care, you harass me. I have a crisis of soul, and I decide to spill the beans before I die. And I'm actually, the thing about Rainerson that I truly do appreciate him is the fact that he made me angry enough to stand up for myself. And it wasn't just him, it was people in my squadron at first. But there were plenty of times when I would get low and I would get like depressed, and then this motherfucker would just say something. Maybe he thought that he was beating me down or what, but all it did was power me up. I'm a wrestler. I wrestled my whole life. I know how to confront bullies. I got into 2 fights when I was in high school at 2 different schools, and no one ever fucked with me after that. I didn't beat the other person to death. I defended myself against aggression, which is our natural God given right. And what we should remember about the Constitution is that these are not things that the government gives us. This is a deal that the government shall not infringe upon these rights. And any right not mentioned is automatically bestowed upon the human. That's why more laws are bad, because what they're trying to do is limit our rights in legal agreements. But I don't trust lawyers. There's literally not a single fucking lawyer I don't think I'll ever trust, um, except for my public defender. Oof, he was so good. The public defenders here that stood up for me were smashing. And the fact that I could only get good work from public defenders in this town speaks a lot about how much gross money is being thrown about to try to prevent justice from happening. But since you denied me legal justice, I'm going to go for social justice. And I'm going to exercise my freedom of speech about talking about this as much as I want. And whoever fucking threatened me, Mr. Beardo McWhitebread, who shows up at 3:15, a minute after I start talking, sits in the same spot that my friend is and jumps me with his words and tells me to fucking kill myself and to get a life, I'm going to fucking crush you. You shall be the sacrificial lamb upon which all the sins of Missoula shall be laid. I mean it. I heap coals upon thine head, O sinner, who has worked against his fellow man in the dark, who has stolen home, property, and lives for $1. I will run you out of my town, and I will fix everything that you broke, since you are incapable of doing it yourself. And if you take that as a threat, fine by me. You've said way worse to me. You've said way worse to me, and you can't even say it to my face. That's the pathetic part, is that you can't even say it to my face. So, Mukti Pradata Sarvesam Vishnu Ivana Samsaya. Give up all your doubts and resort to moral courage.